Good afternoon. I'm Gail Boyd. I am the administrator of this page, Alternative Venues for Jazz, and I am really happy to be here. I've learned something about myself. One of the things I've learned is that I don't follow the directions that I give to other people. Everyone who's been on this call, I've asked them to go on first earlier in the day, check their audio, check their video, make sure everything is okay, and then come back at 5 o'clock. I did not do that. I apologize, but I'm really happy to be here now. Um, some of you know me. I hope a lot of you know me, but there are an awful lot who don't know me because I'm happy to say that we're now 3,000 members and going strong. We're actually adding about 100 members per week. So that's really exciting because I think the more of us who are on there, the greater the strength we have when I'm making presentations to other groups about us. So for those who don't know me, I am an attorney. I've been an attorney since 1975. I've been a manager of jazz artists since 1994. I manage John Clayton, the Clayton Hamilton Jazz Orchestra, Lakeisha Benjamin, Don Braden, Michael Olatuja, Richie Goods, um, Brianna Thomas, just a really great roster, and I'm really proud of them and happy to be working with them. But that's also the reason why I created Alternative Venues for Jazz, because I recognize that a lot of you are self-represented artists, don't have managers, and at one point I realized in 2017 that the average salary for jazz musicians was under $20,000 a year, and I think that that is just criminal, for one thing. And I vowed to try to do something about it. So while it was still a Jazz Times convention, this is before it became Jazz Congress, and it was at St. Peter's Church, and I had asked if I could moderate a panel called Alternative Venues for Jazz. And on my way in to do the panel, I asked my son if he would create a Facebook page for me, originally just so that we could communicate with each other after the panel was over. But then I thought about it and I thought, this is a great opportunity for artists to be able to speak to each other. At the time, you weren't going to be able to advertise your own performances. And that was a very strict rule, and I would delete anytime someone would post where they were going to be working, I would delete it right away because I wanted to build a community where we weren't talking about where we were working, but really we were talking about supporting one another and giving tips on other places where you might want to work. There are only so many jazz festivals, only so many jazz clubs, but maybe there was an opportunity for the community to help each other and lift each other up. That whole rising tide lifts all boats thing. So that was my original thought about creating this page. And then COVID hit. The one thing that occurred to me immediately, the very same day that I lost all of my income for the spring and the summer, it dawned on me that the original alternative venue is this page. And so I immediately changed it so that you could post your performances, you could post your records, your CDs that you had for sale, you could stream your music, and you could still communicate with each other and support each other. So I took all the restrictions off. You are now free to do that. You can stream whatever you like. You can say whatever it is you have to sell. You're perfectly welcome to do that now because this is a venue, and it's your venue as artists. So we've done that for a couple, maybe about a month now. We've had some really great people come on at 5 o'clock every day and talk about their lives, what they're doing during COVID, and then I'm asking them to leave some words of encouragement. Then it dawned on me that I actually could ask some people in the industry to come and talk to us as well. And they said, okay, those that I've asked have said, okay, but they also said, well, you should go first. And, those of you who know me well know that I'm actually very shy and I'm not comfortable doing this. But here I am. But I have to tell you that tomorrow we have Michelle Taylor, who is also a manager. Then on Wednesday we have Pat Harris, who is a manager and an agent. On Thursday, we have Karen Kennedy. And on Friday, we have Susan Jenkins. Um, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have Bryce Rosenblum from Winter Jazz Fest, who has already agreed to do it, and several other people who I'm in talks with now. And so we're going to have another week of industry people. So be on the lookout for that. I also put a call out just recently asking if there were any other people who wanted to um, take their half hour to tell us who they are and introduce themselves. And I've already got a list that is really long. We've got William Cepeda and Cecil Brooks and Jerry Gibbs and Michelle Walker and William Patterson, Bill Warfield, and the list just went on and on. So thank you for making this a place where you do come and you get a chance to talk to people and share with each other, because that's really the time. Um, Someone asked me how had my sense of purpose been altered as a result of this crisis. And at one point, we were talking about the crisis of COVID-19. I mean, I've been sheltered in place now for as long as you all have, but I really have not been going out. I mean, only to the grocery store, and that's it. And then we had this new case of police brutality. But I don't even want to call it police brutality. We watched somebody get murdered. And if you have a heart and you watch that, I know me personally, I've gone from mad, sad, angry, frustrated, but almost more than anything, just exhausted. And we need support while we're going through that as well, because I have to say that it feels like I went to bed in 2020 and I woke up in 1968. That's how it felt. But out of that, out of the 60s, which I am old enough to have gone through, I remember the jazz musicians who created some of the most beautiful music that there is. You know, I remember John Coltrane's Alabama. I remember the Freedom Now suite. I remember that was Max Roach. I remember sort of an urgency in the music. And I'm hoping, if there's any reason to feel hopeful, that we're going to get a whole new crop of you musicians who will create and tell the story of what we're going through now, because it really is really hard times. And you are the ones who tell the story that will become the history. It's our memories. When I look back on these days, it's going to be music that's going to remind me of how I felt then. So I'm really proud that I was able to join with Bryce Rosenblum and Danny Melnick to form the Jazz Coalition, where we raised money and we were able to give 50 musicians $1,000 each to create some works that will be premiered at a later date, but we've already sent the money out and we're raising money for a second round of that. So I'm very proud of that. So my sense of perspective has changed during this, because now I feel even more that there's a role for me to be the helpmate for artists. When your income crashes completely, you have to think about ways to still stay encouraged and keep money coming in. And so my sense of purpose is now trying to find alternatives to how you all will do that. And I'm open to hear any suggestions that you all might have, but I've been talking to managers and agents and other people about how we can do that. And everybody's got way more questions than we have answers. Some of you also may know that I'm the president of NAPAMA. That's the North American Performing Arts Managers and Agents. And I brought to them the sense of urgency that I feel it's the first time that there's been someone at the helm of NAPAMA who has a specialty in jazz. So I'm happy for that. And they're really a great group to work with, and I'm proud of that. And so out of that, one of the things that I asked them to do, and they did it readily, was to give free membership to self-represented artists, agents, and managers, and even presenters through June. And they agreed to do that, and we tripled our membership numbers. I'm hoping that you guys will stay in and do it, because it really is a good organization and they need your voice. But now I'm happy to say that they have extended the free membership to July 31st. So if you go to napama.org, that's NAPAMA.org, You can sign up. It's free until July 31st, and we need your voice. There have not been a lot of jazz managers, agents, or self-represented artists, and I would really like to see that increased. Let me see what else I wanted to talk about. So some of the other things that I've been working on is I want to work with some of the managers and agents and other industry people. I really want to create for content creators an increase in the royalties that you get is really criminal. And it has come to my attention that you can actually stream 6,000 times on any one of the streaming platforms and get maybe $20, which is what you would get if you sold a CD or two. That has to stop and that has to change. And I'm going to work with people who are going to help me at least bring that to the forefront. Jean Cook, especially, is someone that I know is really on that, and I'm going to work with her and make sure that we get that done. One thing I would say to you all is I want you to continue streaming and doing things, but I have been seeing some content that is not as professional as I think you all might like for it to be, because it's going to be a permanent record. I've seen some people stream content from their bedrooms and the beds weren't made up, things like that. So be careful how you do that, and don't stream so much that you devalue yourself. And you should never stream anything or do a full concert for free. You don't want to devalue yourself to the point that when this is over, people will not want to pay you for the work that you deserve. So I wanted to make sure that we talked a little bit about that. So I talked about Jazz Coalition. Okay, Freedom Summer. That's something that just came up today as a result of a meeting, and I'm really excited about it because it's dealing with this whole issue of police and black people and how we have to try to change it. And there were a group, I think more than 50 people who were on that call who talked about starting something on Juneteenth and then carrying it on for the rest of the summer. And if you're old enough to remember the civil rights era, Freedom Summer was always the time that it was a lot of students and people who would come out and protest. And we need that now. But we don't need to just protest. We need change. And that's something that this organization is committed to doing. So words of encouragement. I actually feel like I need to be encouraged myself, but I'm trying to think of something that I can say to everyone. But I do know that there is a tomorrow. And I do know that if we stay encouraged, and if you as content creators continue to create, remember why it is you do what you do. And you would do it with the spirit of change, of peace, of harmony. That means more to people like me who are not creative. I can't sing, I can't carry a tune in a bucket, so I have no artistic talent. But I want to encourage those of you who do to continue doing that and know that there's going to be a tomorrow and know that there's going to be a brighter tomorrow. And some of the days might not be, but they will definitely be something that you should write about so that you can memorialize it. I'm going to look now and see if I have any comments or questions. I'm really happy that you all are here. It's great. I'm getting a lot of hellos and waves and hi Gails and all this is great. Let me just see. Give me a question, give me a comment. Thank you. Whitney said it's been educational and learning a lot. I have certainly learned a lot from listening to you all. I was going to do the AVJ Jazz Talks once a week, and I got so many people who wanted to do it that I literally can do it every day for the rest of the summer, and I think we're just going to continue this. It's really great. People seem to be getting a lot out of it. It is a transformative time. Oh, thank you, Denise Donatella. Oh, thank you. Oh, somebody put napama.org on there. That's great. So please go ahead and join that. Um, Live performance royalties are another income stream, but of course those were supported by the fees the venues pay to BMI and ASCAP. Now that the clubs are closed, that stream is gone. I've reached out to BMI, the one I belong to see if there's a way to get writer-publisher royalties for streaming, but So that's actually that's something, Andrea, that I had not even thought about, and that's the fact that the royalty stream from live performances is even shut down. I've been so concentrated on the streaming income, but that's something that I will bring up to the group that I'm working with. You're going to hear from managers this week, all of whom are dealing with issues like that. So thank you for raising that as an issue. I don't have the answer, but certainly. LaFrey, you were just on the Freedom Summer. How are you? Great to see you and hear you here. The function of freedom is to free someone else. Thank you, Toni Morrison. I agree. And I'm so excited that we changed and we broadened the scope of what we were talking about from Juneteenth to Freedom Summer, because that is more inclusive, and it's no way that we could have gotten everything done that we wanted to do. So stay tuned for that, everyone, because I think it's going to be a really great summer of protest and solutions. Tana says, do you have any suggestions for artists on how they should properly navigate this new climate of live stream performances and being asked to perform for free? I don't have the suggestions now because I am working together with a group of agents and managers, but we're coming up with that. And I will be putting a report on the AVJ page as soon as we have that. So thank you for that question. That's one of the primary things, actually, that we're working on. Because really, I think what happened was, if you think about it, musicians got in the habit of getting advances if they were on a major label. They got in the habit of getting advances from the major labels and not ever receiving or expecting to receive any money after that, because the theory was, well, we'll make money on the gigs when we sell our product. And then the record companies made deals with the streaming companies, and so their income has gone up. Income for streaming companies and record companies have actually gone up 30% during this pandemic. It came very clear when artists were no longer able to perform live that somehow we missed the boat on that, because if you're not performing live, you can't sell your CD. If you can't sell your CD, you have a CD where everybody else is kind of making money on it except you. So this is going to require some really institutional changes, and I've got a group of people that we're just talking about how we're going to approach it, because we're not going to approach them until we have a plan. And so I'll keep everybody posted on that as we go. And LaFrey says music is the language of transformation. You're absolutely right. Should we lower our prices of performances because clubs have been suffering? I say no, because I say your prices are low enough. I mean, it really is that there are some clubs right now who haven't increased the pay that they give to musicians since I've been managing artists in 1994. What's that, 26 years? And they've not increased the price. And I understand, because we're part of an ecosystem, but we cannot carry all that weight on our shoulders. At some point, we have to figure out where everybody can live. And so, no, I don't think you should lower your prices. It's a personal decision, of course, but that's kind of what happens, because if one or two artists says, well, I'll lower my price, I'll do it for this, then if they can fill their slots, then they don't have to pay more to other artists. So it's something that you might want to think about. You don't want to lower it so much that, once again, you're devaluing yourself. And Jenna, hello Jenna, says, how do we charge for live streaming? I've been streaming and giving I don't know what you mean by oops for donations. But if you charge, I'm afraid I will lose people. If you are doing a live performance, you should set it up so that you can do a ticket price. And even if you go on Facebook Live where everybody can see you anyway for free, if you set up a ticket situation, you will be surprised at the number of people who just want to support you. And they might buy a ticket and then still come on Facebook Live. There are people who will come on and you can put your Venmo, your PayPal, your Cash App, whatever, if they want to leave a tip. But I think you should also have it so that people can purchase tickets. You can do that through Brown Paper Bag. You can do that through a lot of the ticketing services. And I suggest that you do that. Okay, any more? Gary Armstrong. Based on how consumers are sharing content and artists are posting content, do you foresee any changes in contracts when the pandemic is under control? Absolutely. And one of the things that I think is going to be really crucial And I'm not sure, I mean, we're going to fight this fight, but I'm not sure how we can do it. But I want artists and content creators to be able to have access to the data that record companies collect and Spotify collects. I mean, wouldn't it be great? You don't make the money, but if you had, for example, 50,000 streams, which wouldn't get you much money, but if you had access to those 50,000 people, wouldn't that be great? And that's what I want to fight for. I want to see there's no reason for them to have that content and have it alone. So those are some of the changes, Gary, that I foresee, and I'm going to be working really hard on that. Andreas says, thank you, and thanks so much for reminding us that there will be a tomorrow. There will be. Okay, thank you. You're welcome, Tana. Dennis Day says, I'm all in. This is much needed, especially the royalty issue. Yeah, it is. And it's much needed because really, I think people have now gotten to the point where they expect to get music free. Um, and they don't want to pay for it. They think that you're there sort of at their service. And in the absence of a patronage system or something where somebody's giving you the money, I don't know how that works. I don't know how you live if money is if you are there to create content and everybody else is there to use it, but no money flows back to you. It's just a bad model. Hi, Mike Momford from Detroit. How are you? So Elizabeth says the prices are the same as the 60s. Yeah, it is. In some places, I do know that that's an absolute fact, and we have to. And that's why I want us to have more people on alternative venues for jazz. Because how would it be if we can go and say, we have 10,000 people, all of whom are saying you need to pay more money. And if you can't afford it, we need to figure out a way to work it out together. So if the club says I only have X number of people and I can only charge X number per ticket and therefore I can only pay you, then let's put our heads together and figure out a way if we maybe live stream for additional income or something, but we have to work that out. And so I thank you, Elizabeth, for reminding us. Hi, Dave Love. Time for artists to get their house in order in terms of their publishing. So many artists have not kept with their registrations. That's really true. And I have seen artists lose. I've seen the families of artists lose their publishing because at some point down the road, publishing registrations were not, copyright registrations were not kept up. So yeah, please, thank you, Dave, for that. And Dave Love, by the way, he has, Dave, put on the chat your company where he will work with you to create a store for those of you who don't know. And he sets it up so that the store looks like it's part of your website. And you can sell your product straight from that store. And you will send the product to Dave. He will charge the buyer for the CD, and he will mail it. And it's not just CDs, he does merch and other things as well. So Dave, if you will, just put that on the chat so people will know how to reach you for that. Gigs cost money if we pay cats to rehearse. Absolutely. And those are the kind of things that have to be talked about within the family. It's like, you know how much I'm getting. If I pay you for rehearsal, then the money is coming out of my pocket. Now, sometimes it's worth it. So, I mean, even as a manager, I have had to say to one or two of my clients, we won't make any money on this because we need to be seen in this particular venue. So let's pay the cats because they have to get paid. But you and I are going to what we're going to gain from it is that visibility. So sometimes you have to think about that too. And Lydia Liebman says, post that Venmo link, virtual tip jars. That's absolutely a great thing to do. One of my clients, Richie Goods, just did something recently where he did charge for tickets. You could buy 2 tickets, but he also posted on Facebook Live. So if you didn't buy it, you could watch it free, but then he posted a tip jar. And he did it for 7 in the morning for his Japanese audience, for his Asian audience. Then he did a 2 o'clock in the afternoon performance for his European audience, and then he did it at 8 o'clock at night for those in the U.S. And it was pretty successful. So, think about great ideas like that. But definitely have a way to sell tickets for it. Access to people creates community. Yes, that's right. Richard Howell says, would that be great? Thank you. Richard Howell wrote a song several years ago, and I think he actually posted it today on AVJ, called We Are All Connected, So We Must Treat Each Other Right. And that really is the word of encouragement for today. We are all connected. Michelle Taylor says they should provide that. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Michelle, now, but you're going to be on tomorrow, so you can expand on that. Andrea Brockfield says you can claim yourself as an artist on Spotify. Yes, you can. And for those of you who own your masters, and I have done deals as a lawyer, I have done deals with labels recently, but I have to say that primarily I'm trying to talk artists into owning their own masters, even if they license them to labels. Own your own master, own your stuff. It's just better that way. And you may not see the immediate benefit of it because you won't get an advance and because you will have to crowdfund or whatever. But in the long run, it's better for you to own your own master, and then you can make decisions. Tana says an option that I've seen work is charging a base donation as a ticket price, which allows those who can't afford the normal price of the tickets at this time to tune in. Yes, that's true. Oh, wait, she says see more. And then the virtual tip jar. Yeah, that's the best way to do it. Charge a price, but also allow people. And I've heard people say that some people who bought tickets also then still tip you because they're a fan and they want to support you. And each one of you probably have a really good network of fans. And reach out to them. I was on a call with Napama the other day, and a man in the South, they do sort of Broadway touring act kind of things. But he set his ticket price at $10, $25, $50, $100, $250, $500, and $1,000. And he had somebody buy $1,000 ticket for the same thing that he could have purchased for $10. Um, why are so many musicians not members of the Grammys? I'm not sure. I think it's not a bad idea for you to be a member and also submit your product for Grammy consideration. Um, Nadia says, I love the idea of fan data sharing. Sadly, the European GDPR might get in the way unless the platforms help with the artist contact permissions. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you don't want to give something to somebody unless they agree that you can give their information. But that's the whole thing that we want to talk to these labels and the streaming services about. Let's have something where we say that this particular artist wants to get the database. Do you agree? And give them a day or two or a week to say, no, take my name off of that. And because I think a lot of people would not care, especially if they think they're going to actually hear from the artist. And of course, once we get that going, the first thing you should do is thank them for joining, your fan club or whatever. So I agree with you, Nadia, that could get in the way, but we have to work it out so we do ask their permission to share and let the consumer be the ultimate decision maker on that. Andrea says Sound Exchange has a 5% Sideman fund for all the records you've recorded. Yes. And also there is a fund that SAG and AFTRA created not too long ago and for unreleased payments. And I went on there just to double check to see if any of my clients had money that they were holding. And I have 8 clients and 5 of them had money outstanding. So go to SAG-AFTRA and take a look at the unclaimed money. Your name might just be on there because you might have been a sideman on someone else's project and there might be money there for you. What do you see? What do you not like to see on people's websites of promoting themselves? I will tell you one of my biggest pet peeves is going to someone's website and being hit with music right away. I want to click to hear it because you never know where I am. I might be in a place where I can't afford to have someone's music jump out at me. And so that's one thing. But other than that, at this point now, I think when I look at most websites, they are actually responding to what the market wants. You have an EPK on there, you have some video footage, you have some audio footage, you have your bio. I think it might be Andrea Brockfield, if I'm not mistaken, that I went to her website and she had, if I'm not mistaken, she had like 5 different lengths of bio. So she had a long bio, then she had a short bio, then she had a 100-word bio and a 50-word bio, and it was perfect. And I'm going to steal that idea, Andrea, because I thought it was great. So think about doing something like that. It's something I hadn't even thought about in terms of the various sizes of bios, but sometimes that's all people need. Oh, Anne Marie Blythe, hi, thank you. Deb, hi, honey, great, keep doing what you're doing. Oh, thank you for your support. Okay, good. Dave Love put it out. It's myiesstore.com. And you're welcome, Dave. I think it's really great to check him out and try to add a store to your website if you don't already have one. It's really good. Yes, Nadia agrees about owning the masters. That's really all I'm telling all my clients to do. I'm not encouraging any of my clients to try to get a straight record deal. It's not that many going around anyway. But even the search is kind of fruitless. I would rather see you spend your time and money um, finding the money, owning your own master, and then if you need to, license it with a major. But sometimes you don't even need to do that. With Bandcamp and other things around, you may not even need to do that. Lydia Lehman says, can you do this every day? Lydia, if you knew how nervous I am literally like sweating, and I'm like, when can I get off? Oh, it's 5:30, I can go. Thank you all. Tomorrow you're going to have Michelle Taylor. Michelle is a manager. She manages Matthew Whitaker, Lauren Talese, and she has been around for a long time in the record industry. I look forward to seeing what happens for the rest of this week. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.